Hello, beautiful people. First and foremost, I want to thank you for stopping by. My name is Andy. Welcome to my channel. And in this video, I'll be showing you how I created this glamorous pink mauve makeup look. So if you're interested, feel free to keep on watching. Like, subscribe, and share if you're interested in seeing more videos from me. So I like to begin by prepping my face with my Nature's Truth Hyaluronic Acid Serum. I just rub it all into my skin to get the skin ready and going. And then I go in with my Maybelline Master Prime Primer and Base. It's to blur and smooth pores and fine lines, and it's also a lightweight non-oily formula, which is great for those with oily skin. So after prepping and priming my skin, I go in with an eyebrow spoolie and I just brush my hairs into place. I like to brush it in an upward motion and then down when it comes at the tail end. And then I go in with a regular brow pencil from the beauty supply store. It's a dark brown pencil and I just use that to follow the shape of my eyebrow and fill in areas where I see gaps. And then I do the same to the other side. In both brows, I take my spoolie and I blend in the eyeliner, and then I take my LA Girl Pro Concealer in the shade Beautiful Bronze. I take that on a flat brush. Any flat brush that you have can work. My brush came out of a 12-piece Amazon set. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. So you just clean up the brows, any imperfections you may see. Remember to keep following the natural shape and you'd be good to go. So now I'm taking this fluffy brush from BH Cosmetics. I believe it's the 129 brush. And I'm just using that to buff out the concealer that's surrounding my brows. I use tapping motions because I believe the tapping motions help the makeup to set into the skin versus smearing it around the skin, if that makes sense. I'm now taking my NYX Control Freak Clear Gel. I brush it in the same motion as the spoolie. I brush it up, across, and down the tail of the brow just to give it a natural look. It also keeps the eyebrows put, so when you're doing a full face of makeup and you're blending your foundation, the eyebrows don't get lost or missing anywhere in the process. Now I'm prepping my lids for eyeshadow. I just used the same concealer that I used to conceal my brows, and then I take the same brush and I blend that concealer all over my lid and even a bit further beyond my lid, because sometimes I put shadow just to change the shape of the eye, play around with the makeup a bit. Once I'm done blending both eyes with the concealer, I take my Maybelline Fit Me Loose Finishing Powder in the shade Medium Deep. I just take that on a fluffy eyeshadow brush and I set the eyes and prepare for my eyeshadow. I feel like this helps the eyeshadow to pop a bit, and it's the same as using an eyeshadow primer, but I didn't have my primer on me at the time, so I had to improvise. I'm now taking my Beauty Blazed Color Board palette. It's a very affordable and pigmented palette that I found on Amazon. So I'm taking that shade and I'm putting it right in the crease. I start by patting it, and then I'll be doing circular motions just to make sure that I blend it out as best as I can. Now, usually I start with the light shade and then go into the medium shade, but with this look, I started with the medium shade and now I'm going with a lighter shade out of my NYX Modern Dreamer palette, and I'm gonna blend that on top of that shade. For me, the key to blending is to be very light-handed with the pressure you apply on the brush. And then I also combine two techniques. I do windshield wiper and I do circular motions at the same time. Taking this lighter pink out of my NYX Modern Dreamer palette, and I'm using that to further blend out the colors. So I started off with a medium deep pink, and then I went in with a lighter pink, and then I went in with a even lighter pink on top of that. And the purpose of this is to give like a gradient effect. Now I'm taking this more slim fluffy brush and I'm taking my Cara Beauty palette. I'm using a darker shade to deepen up the outer corners of my eyelid. As you can see, I'm blending this color into my crease as well. I want it to be evenly blended into the colors that I put down beforehand. Now I'm just taking that same brush that I used for the first three colors and I'm just blending everything in all together. I'm now cutting my crease using the same concealer and eyeshadow brush that I used to carve out my eyebrows. Now this step isn't really necessary, but I like to do it because it helps, especially shimmer shades, to stick to the lid, and it helps lesser pigmented shadows to pop. So the tackiness from the concealer allows pigment to stick to it better. So what I do is I look down and it helps me to be guided to see the shape of my eyeball, and then I follow that with the concealer with light strokes. Now I'll be taking this gorgeous pink shade from my Beauty Glaze Colorboard palette. I'm just taking it on a flat brush and then I'll be patting it onto my eyelid. Now I apologize that I didn't show which color I used, but I just took another shimmery pink that is a bit darker than the first one I used, and I'm just blending them in together as I go towards the outer part of the eye. Now going back into my Cara Beauty palette, I'm taking this burgundy like shade and I'm just darkening my outer corner again and then blending it into the last shadow that I placed on my lid. So I found this other pink in my Modern Dreamer palette that I felt popped more than the one I had before. So I decided to place that in the center of my eyelid, and then I also used that same shade to highlight beneath my eyebrows. Now that I'm done with the eyes, I'm using makeup wipes to remove whatever eyeshadow fallout that I have on my skin because that wouldn't look too good blended in with my foundation. I also use the makeup wipes to clean up the outer corners of my eyeshadow to give it a more crisp look. Now that the under eye is all cleaned up, I'm going in with my Maybelline Superstay Full Coverage Foundation. It's in the shade 380 Espresso, and I'm using my AOA Studio F1 brush, and I'm just using it to stipple in and press the foundation into my skin. I don't ever use drag in motions because I just feel like pressing it in helps it to blend better. That's the goal of the whole makeup. Make sure it's blended and it looks good. It doesn't matter what color. Well, color does matter, but you get what I mean. Honestly, blending can be so tiresome sometimes. Like, I literally had to stop to get a drink several times. Now I'm going in with my beauty sponge and I'm just patting that all over my face just in case I have any missing spots where I didn't get the foundation, and it also soaks up any excess product. Again, I'm going in with the Pro Concealer from LA Girl. I'm using the shade Beautiful Bronze, and I'm using it to highlight the points of my face, which are underneath my eyes, my cupid's bow, the bridge of my nose, my chin, and my forehead. I'll be taking my Real Techniques 200 Expert Face Brush and using that to blend in the points that I highlighted on my face. Again, I'll be using pressing, stippling motions versus dragging motions to blend the concealer into my foundation. I intentionally saved the under eye portion for last because I like the way that the concealer dries down. I just feel like it blends better and it doesn't spread too thinly and cause any gaps within the highlight. After blending the concealer with my Expert Face Brush, I take my beauty sponge again, and just as I did with the foundation, I'm tapping it in just to make sure that there isn't any excess product and to avoid looking cakey. Now, you don't necessarily have to do this, but this is just a step that I do. And then once that's blended in, I go back in with my foundation brush and I further blend everything in all together just to be safe and sound. I'm now taking my Black Radiance True Complexion contour palette and I'm using the darkest shade on a small brush, and I'm just outlining along the sides of the bridge of my nose to give my nose a slight contour. Again, I'm taking my Maybelline Fit Me Loose Finishing Powder in the shade Medium Deep. I'm using my Real Techniques foundation brush, and I just use this brush because I like that it's flat and it's pointed and I can be precise with it. So I use this brush and powder to highlight everywhere that I set the concealer. Now, I personally like to highlight and set my highlight before I contour because I believe that it helps me to control my contour so that it doesn't be so harsh. So I'm just taking the dark shade in my Black Radiance palette again, and then I'm taking this powder brush from my Amazon set, and I'm just pressing it into the hollows of my cheeks, along my jawline, and around the perimeters of my forehead. After applying my powder contour, I'll be taking a rounded powder brush and I'll just be using it to lightly dust away the excess powder that I placed on the highlighted parts of my face. Now I'll be taking my Maybelline Fit Me powder in the shade Dark. It's the loose finishing powder. And I'm using that same powder brush and I'm placing the powder beneath my powder contour in the hollow of my cheekbones. And then I'm also taking that all over the face just to make sure that the foundation is set wherever I didn't highlight. And then I'll also be blending that into the highlighted parts of my face just to avoid flashback and to avoid looking ghosty. Once I blend this all in, I take my beauty blender, which is damp, and I press that into the skin again just to pick up any extra powder and to melt the makeup into this face. Now I'm just taking my City Color Ombre Shimmer Highlight in the shade Rose Gold. I'm taking that on a pointed brush and I'll just be placing that in the inner corner of my eyes for a nice pop. I really feel like the little things such as highlights really brings the whole makeup look together. Next, I take this angled blush brush and then I take my Juvia's Place Sahara palette volume 2 and I take the shade Zane, which is a pretty pink, and I just smile so that I can locate the apples of my cheek to place the blush there, and then I also drag it back towards my ear and temple area. Now it's time for one of my favorite parts of the whole makeup look. I'm going to be applying my highlighter using my Ruby Kisses All Over Glow in the shade Light Glow. And I'm just taking a large fan brush and applying it on the high points of my cheeks, on my forehead, the bridge of my nose, my chin, and my cupid's bow. Now I'm taking a small pencil brush and going back into my Cara Beauty palette. I'm using that burgundy shade again just to add a pop of color beneath my waterline. So I went ahead and popped on my eyelashes, my false eyelashes, off camera because it takes me a while. And I'm just rocking some premium faux lashes that I found on Amazon. And then I'll also be placing some black mascara on my bottom lashes. Now I'll be taking my NYX eye pencil in the shade Brown, and I'll just be using this to outline all around my lips and preparing my lip for my lipstick and gloss application. I also like to add eyeshadow to my lips, and I apply it right above the eyeliner heading towards the center of my lips, and this just creates an ombre effect as I used brown and now I'm using burgundy and I'm rubbing it all together. And now I'm taking my NYX Lip Lingerie lipstick in the shade Lace Detail and I'm applying that to the center of my lips. And I just also believe that adding eyeshadow to the lips helps the lipstick or the lip gloss to last all day long. Last but not least, for the lips, I'm just going in with this clear gloss from the beauty supply store. Once the lipstick is all blended in, I just apply that on top because I love a glossy finish. And then I'm going in with my Ulta Beauty Matte Makeup Setting Spray, and I'm just setting that all over the face, letting it dry down a bit. And then I'll be going in with my Milani Make It Last Matte Finish Setting Spray, spraying that on top as well. And you don't necessarily have to go through all of these steps, but I just like to make sure that my makeup is locked in and it's gonna last all day long. Once I'm done misting my face, I'm going back in with my best friend, the beauty sponge, and I'm just dapping that all over my face just to make sure that the setting spray is set into the makeup. So that is the completed makeup look, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me at Andy's Candy. Don't forget to like and subscribe so that you'd be notified for future videos to come. I love you all very much. Bye.